Hey guys, it's Simmer over here. This is my first video and I'm just going to give it a shot. I just thought I'd try YouTube and see how it goes. I've never thought about doing it before until today. So I'm going to give it a shot, see how it goes. And my first video, I decided I wanted to go with the book Narnia. Because one, Narnia was pretty cool. I really enjoyed the movies. And I never used to like reading books, but I thought I would give it a shot, and I'm actually liking it so far, so I like it enough to make videos on it, and I decided I would do 3 chapters at a time. I've read 12 chapters in, and if any of you guys know that you're slow readers, you can completely sympathize with me, because I am like the slowest reader you will ever know. And just bear with me. I will do 3 chapters at a time. And just the main idea is to explain it and have fun, just describing what I thought was pretty cool in it and each chapter that stood out to me. If you don't like books, you don't have to watch the video, but I put a timestamp below if you want to skip all this intro. So let's go ahead and get started. So chapter 1 of the first book. Now this book, I forgot to mention, has all the Narnia books in it. So I've only gotten into the first one. And the first one is called The Magician's Nephew. And yeah, so the first 3 chapters, let's start with the first one. Chapter 1 is called The Wrong Door. It was pretty interesting. It opens up in, past London type of setting. And if you know anything about London, I've taken a trip there myself. And the buildings are right next to each other. And they have chimneys. If you've seen Mary Poppins, you kind of know what it is. But yeah, they're next to each other. They're pretty connected. And then you have the main characters, Polly and Diggory. Young kids, they meet each other. They, how awkward we are as kids. And they become friends. Polly is the practical type. Diggory is the adventurous, curious kind of boy. And so they love to go on adventures. And basically, they travel in between the houses through these tunnels. And one day, they stumbled upon the attic, where apparently their attics kind of connect between the houses, which I never knew that before. So, they're up there in the dusty attic, and they're like, oh, should we go in? I don't know. So, being the risk taker Diggory is, he convinces Polly, let's just go in there. So they open the door, and when they go inside, there's a table in the middle, some books on it. There's a shelf on the left side. There's a lounge chair in the far back. They don't pay any attention to that. And they look at the rings on the table. And there are these green and yellow rings. And they're pretty curious about what they are. And then, all of a sudden, they realize that somebody was sitting in the lounge chair the entire time. And it turns out it was Uncle Andrew, and I don't know whose uncle it was. I think it was Diggory's uncle. And apparently that was the forbidden study. And they weren't supposed to be in there, so, being frightened little kids, they slowly started to back away. But being the creep Uncle Andrew was, he blocked their exit, and he was like, nope, now that you've seen this, you are not going to leave. And he decided it was the perfect time to test something. And somehow he managed to get Polly to accidentally or intentionally touch one of the rings. And it was the yellow ring, I believe. And all of a sudden, Polly just disappeared. That's the end of chapter 1. Chapter 2 is called Diggory and Uncle. And so you can imagine Diggory is pissed right now. And he's like, "What the hell did you do with my friend? Where is Polly?" So Uncle Andrew goes on this backstory where he talks about this crazy lady lived in town before, and apparently she is really crazy, and talked about other worlds, and you can see where this is going. And so he said, "I was testing this theory out, and I made these rings, or I don't know how he made them, but he used hamsters to test it." So he's like, hamsters aren't a very reliable test subject. So he said, "Well, I decided to use Polly because she was a perfect test subject. And you, being the honorable boy you are, you surely wouldn't let Polly be stuck in that world. So you are very welcome to go down back to dinner with your family if you want to. But knowing the person you are, Diggory, you wouldn't leave her behind, would you?" So Diggory is like, "You little..." Won't say the word, but he was pissed at him. But he was like, "Uncle Andrew, why the heck do you not do it yourself?" And he's like, "Well, you see, I'm an old man, and being frail, you don't know what kind of dangers are going to be found on the other side in the world, so that's preposterous for you to think that I should go over there." So Diggory is like, "You little wuss, you coward. Fine, I will do it." And so he touches one of the yellow rings, and in an instant, Diggory's gone. And that ends chapter 2. Now into chapter 3. It's called The Wood Between the Worlds. And this is where it kind of transitions from being a real world setting to finally the fantasy part of Narnia. And so, just like if you've seen Harry Potter, when they disapparate, it's kind of like that. He just instantly disappeared. And he reappeared in this really magical woods. He appeared in a pool, and he came up out of the water. And the first thing he noticed was how peaceful it was. It's kind of like a dream where you're in a daze and you're so relaxed, kind of whenever you're like on anesthesia from surgery. You're very fuzzy and it's kind of misty looking around. And so it's kind of cool picturing that in my mind with all these tall, skinny trees that go on for miles. And so he's coming out of this kind of rectangular pool. And if you can imagine a vast forest that spreads on for miles, and you just kind of see a misty fog in the distance when it goes too far. But you see other pools for miles all over the place. And so Diggory realizes there's a girl nearby. Now, he doesn't know this girl at first, and you know who it is, but he goes up to her and eventually realizes this is Polly. And so he's kind of freaked out that just within being there for 5 minutes, his memory had gone fuzzy and he had been too calm and relaxed. And so Polly, being the practical person she was kind of concerned. And she was like, "Okay, common sense, let's go home." But Diggory, being the curious, adventurous boy, was like, "Wait, hold on, Polly. Do you realize what we can go into another pool? Do you know how fun that would be? Let's try it." And he starts walking over to one of the pools, and she was like, "Diggory, hold on, what the heck are you doing? Do you realize how many pools there are here? What if we lost sight of our own pool? We need to mark it." So she's a pretty smart girl, and they marked the pool. But she convinced him, "Okay, first, we need to test that we can even get back home. So they have their rings, and Diggory's fine, he agrees with it, but they said, okay, as soon as we know we're going back to London, let's switch our rings midway, because we don't want Uncle Andrew, who's back there at the house, to capture us or something. So like, okay, let's do that, and we'll just see how it'll change when we do it. So the green one is homeward bound. So the green ring, they're like, okay, we have to go back to the pool we came from. They stand in it, and then they like jump, put the ring on, and they start disappearing. The world is just flashing by. It's kind of a blurry. If you've seen Interstellar, near the end of it, there's that kind of weird, freaky dimension area. And so the world's flashing by, and they start seeing London reforming and the buildings coming back to life, reshaping, and they start seeing the room where Uncle Andrew was. And they're like, okay, we're able to come back home, so change now. So they put on the yellow rings, take off the green, put on the yellow, and in an instant, they're back in the woods. So now they know for a fact that they can get back to their own world. So Polly's like, okay, Diggory, I feel safer now. We can test another pool, fine. So she's not so stubborn just to be safe all the time. And so Diggory was happy about that. And so at the end of that chapter, they decide to go to one of the pools next door, and they have their own pool marked so they can go back. And that's where the chapter ends. And it gets really cool this next chapter, chapter 4. It's kind of freaky, but I'll wait for the next video to do that. Thanks for listening. Glad you came by. My first video. I don't think it went too bad. Feel free to subscribe. I'll do some chapters. I don't know when I'll upload the next video, but I'll upload it whenever I can, and yep, do the next 3 chapters. So, hey guys, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time. Remember, this is Simra over here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.